Please. Yes, Councilmember Carr.
Here.
Councilmember Panduro.
Here.
Councilmember Tonneson.
Here.
Councilmember Vaccaro.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bertani is absent, and Mayor Moy.
I'm here. And so tonight, who do we say? Jeff Hood is going to lead us with our invocation tonight. There you are. Yeah, I said hello to you. Hello. Thank you. Thank you,
Surely.
Pastor.
Surely. Let me pray for us tonight. Lord, we are thankful for our city council, which meets here tonight. They do their best to make decisions, lead our city in the way it should go. And we pray for your leadership. We pray that you would help the mayor and the council tonight to lead well, give them wisdom, understanding as they make decisions that impact our city. Decisions, I pray that they are filled with hope and insight and trustworthiness, that this city council would act in the best interests of the people of Fairfield. And I pray that your will would be done in all of this. Father, this is my prayer, and I give it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. And the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, our friends are here, and they're going to be getting, I'm looking at you two, the Pace family. If you guys could stand up and please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd sure appreciate it.
Please repeat after me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and you'll see why I asked him. I mean, it could have been any of you all, but I asked him because he's a new Eagle Scout, and he's going to get a certificate tonight, so yeah. All right, so now we're going to move on to council reports, and I'm going to start with Councilwoman Williams, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is going to be a repeat of my council report from last year, and I put in a writing. So if I get emotional, I can still pull through it. So as we enter the holiday season, I want to take a moment to highlight the importance of mental health and share a bit of my personal journey. As a leader, I believe it's important to recognize that none of us are immune to challenges. For me, Thanksgiving is bittersweet. It's a time to cherish love, but also I usually wake up in deep reflection and sorrow. I lost my father on Thanksgiving 2013, and Thanksgiving represents the last holiday I shared with my 26-year-old oldest son, Isaiah, before his passing. So these losses make the day, for me, a difficult one. Often, really, I'm in despair and grief. But I know I'm not alone, which is why I'm talking about it. There's many of our community members, and they're sad, either loss or loneliness. So I just wanted to make this my city council report again, just to acknowledge that pain in our community, and for us to encourage ways to find ourselves and lift ourselves during these times. So there's a few things that I do. I talk about it, which I'm doing now, but I do it. I talk about it openly, that I'm struggling through Thanksgiving. I focus on gratitude. So even though I'm really sad, I really reflect on the things I'm really super grateful. And I really meant it when I text you all on Thanksgiving back that I am just so grateful for you all, because I am. And also practicing self-care. So getting rest, taking walks, and just finding quiet moments all help me through this moment. So I just wanted to share that with you all again, and to say a loud rest in peace to my dad, Andrew Williams, and my son, Isaiah Hall.
Thank you, Councilwoman, and I so appreciate it for your courage in talking about it, especially from a high-profile position. And so we appreciate you, and we love you too. Councilman Tonneson?
Nothing for me.
Nothing? Okay. Right. Councilman Vaccaro, please.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I just, sort of on the same vein as what Councilwoman Williams said, as we go into the holiday season, we're just starting, and, for someone who worked with the underserved for a long time, and still do, actually, in some of our schools, I always worry about the people out there that really are the most needy, and, especially our young kids that are out there that I see. So, everybody just pray for them over this holiday season, because they're going to need it, and they're also going to need any help you can give them as far as clothes and food and everything else. So even though the holidays make a lot of people really happy, including myself, I know there's a lot of people out there that they don't feel that way. I found that out a long, long time ago. So, but it's also I'm also glad to see everybody here, because it's always good to see a full chamber. And that's my report. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you. And tonight is not Councilman Vaccaro's very last meeting, but it is his last full meeting. He's retiring from us. He finally had it with me. And we've been together since 2008 doing this. And so we will say goodbyes then, but I want to acknowledge the work that he's done tonight and the work that he's going to do tonight. So thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Panduro?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I know we are starting the holiday season, and so on this Thanksgiving and every other one, there's always some fun activities to do early in the morning. And so this year, I did participate and represent the city of Fairfield at the 16th annual Solano Turkey Trot. So I was there at 7:30 in the morning with a lot of other people that also do this as a tradition with their families. And so it's a great way to start Thanksgiving. It's also a great way to, a lot of the proceeds benefit Meals on Wheels. and also the Kroc Center in Suisun City. So it's a great way to give back and a fun way to start the day with the family, and also a beautiful morning to spend in the valley, because you just go up Suisun Valley Road and then come back down, and all the leaves are changing, and it's a clear day, and it's just a beautiful way to start the day. So I encourage everyone for next year to go out there and start the day getting some steps in before sitting down to a meal. So that is my report. Thank you, Mayor.
And Councilwoman, you can just give up on trying to get us all out there at 7 in the morning. I know you were just being a cheerleader. Come on, you guys, it's not too late. It was too late at 10 o'clock that morning. But thank you for doing that and representing us out there.
Cat, I drove by.
Were you faster than them and driving?
My wife and daughter went, so,
And?
no.
No, not you. Okay. See, that's what you got here in a city council. It's pretty sad, isn't it? Anyway, okay, but we were represented. Councilman Doug.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. First off, I do want to tell you, Rick, I'm going to miss you very much. You've been the principal here for me, and I don't want you to leave, but you made that choice, and you will be missed. The city of Fairfield will miss your leadership and your wise advice. Secondly, Santa sleigh kicked off. The police department has Santa on a trailer and goes to different places. However, there's quite a few. The next one is going to be on Dana Drive, David Weir Elementary School, and Sullivan Elementary School, and that's going to be on December 4th. And then they're going to have them continue on through most of December. And you can look on our city website, and you can get the dates and times and places. Be sure to bring out the kiddies. Also, let's not forget, this Friday is the tree lighting downtown, and I hope to see everybody there. It's really fun. They have snow machines, and it's just really nice, and it's good community support. So please, everybody come down Texas Street this Friday. What time's that kickoff? 6, is it?
6 o'clock?
I believe
Yeah.
6 o'clock.
And
It usually is, yes.
And the tree lighting is straight up at 6:30.
6:30, yeah. So come on down, join us. It's a whole lot of fun. Santa will be there, and I think the Grinch, so.
You think the Grinch? Yes, the Grinch will be there. I will be there. And,
All right, that's my report, Mayor. Thank you.
no.
Hey, Mayor, can I say one more thing?
Of course.
Okay. I forgot to mention that yesterday I actually attended an event for our new State Senator, Christopher Cabaldon,
Oh,
up in
good.
Sacramento. It was put on by the Affiliam organization up there, and it was very well attended. We had really good representation from Solano County also. So I just wanted to say
That's
that. Yeah, it was
great.
very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for repping us. And my report tonight is going to be asking our family to come up. I guess it's just the two of you today. Oh, there you are. The rest of you, I'm beat-eyed on. Come on up, because I want to present these to you. These are certificates for Eagle Scout. Nervous, come on up here. So, that's okay, you can bring this back. So, I want to tell you a little bit about the Pace family. They're incredible, working with our youth here in Fairfield and Suisun and around, and they do an unbelievable job at helping scouts grow up and become good, strong people, and to learn to give. And the number of people who get Eagle Scout, which is a big deal, obviously. It's what are the numbers that start off in Scouts, and then the number that actually make it?
By the time of completing all requirements, if they do, from the point that they begin as a Cub Scout, less than 3% who begin the program actually make it to Eagle?
So it's incredible, and I'd like people to understand that everybody can be involved with the Scouts. Whether you're a grown-up kid like me, you can volunteer with them, or whether you're a parent and you want to help other young people learn the things that the Scouts need. I really encourage people to get involved with it. It's a great program. I love it. And our late Mayor, Harry Price, was very much into the Scouts, and he kind of led me into that. I've always liked the Scouts. My little brother was a Scout, and my daughter was a Girl Scout. But these guys go all the way. This is Lucas. And Lucas, I'm presenting to you your certificate. And this is in recognition of your personal achievement, because it always is a personal thing, and earning the distinguished honor of Eagle Scout. And the citizens of the Fairfield community and the officials here salute you on this 17th day of November. And then his brother also earned this. Now, like I said, the Pace family, might as well be the Lucas family since you're here. The Pace family are incredible to have this. Several siblings, 3. There's the other one there. Why didn't you come up here?
No, your mom's doing it.
She's also an Eagle Scout. And this is for Landon. And so here you go. This is for you. And I would like very much if you would come up and tell people about your Eagle Scout program, what you did for your project. Come on up.
So for my Eagle project, the basic premise is doing a sort of massive project just to help the community in any specific program you want. I decided to help the SPCA, which is the dog founding company out in Sassoon? Off Peabody Road. They had this massive area of grass that was almost unusable because it was just trashed and it was kind of destroyed. So I decided to make a shade structure in order to provide cooling air and shade and a bench, so that way they could reopen that little area, and they're gonna now adopt a lot more dogs in that area. So I hope to help them now and in the future.
Thank you. You come up here, because he's a leader in Scouts, and come up here and tell us a little bit about the Scouts here and how people can get involved.
Okay. Obviously, I am a May Pace. My first name is Don. I have been an adult leader in the Scouting organization for the last 10 years. If you have a sibling beginning at the age of 5 who may be interested in joining Scouts, you can go to bascout.org and find an organization here in Fairfield that you can check out. One of my recommendations is you never settle for the first place you go to. You always check a couple of places out, because in the end, it's really about where your child, your sibling, is comfortable in going. We offer a variety of programs in Sassoon and Fairfield. We have everything from Cub Scouts, which is from 5 to 11 or 10 and a half if they've earned the Arrow of Light rank. And from that point, they can go into a troop up to the age of 18. We have a venturing program that is co-ed and goes to the age of 21. We also offer Sea Scouts. Sea Scouts is a maritime program for youth from the age of 14 to 21. So once again, anybody interested in looking into the program, go to bascout.org. Now, we do have another individual who has just shown up, who is a youth within our troop, Mr. Ben Hagan. Please stand up.
On the spot, Ben, huh?
Sorry, didn't mean to do that to you. So I believe Scouting is a great program. I believe it should be a program that every youth be made available to. It definitely instills within that youth a camaraderie, a family group orientation for those individuals, not just in the home, but with others in their unit as well. It teaches them responsibility, it teaches them working with others, and it teaches them a lot of things about community, conservation, and commitment to duty and one's duty to God.
Thank you both. Congratulations. With that, we'll ask the city manager if he has any report.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one quick, easy item. Folks, you may have noticed, your eyes did not deceive you, our agenda looks different. So our prior agenda management system was actually going to run out of support. So the software company that owns it was phasing it out. So in the last 90 days or so, or a little bit more than that, we've been moving over to a software called eScribe. So you'll notice now that the lettering or the numbering on agenda items is a little bit different. We also have a change in the way that we're going to be showing the titles for our agenda items. And so we're somewhat limited on the immediate title of what they're called. So you'll see effectively the title will be a resolution, then a two-letter signifier for the department. So, PW, Public Works, PD, Police Department, so on and so forth, and then a very brief title. Below that then is where you'll see the title of the action that council is considering. I want to give a special recognition to our city clerk's office, deputy city clerk, Kelly Ballard in my office, as well as our IT team and all of the admin groups throughout the city. It has been a breakneck speed effort in order to get us transitioned onto this new system by the end of this calendar year when our prior system falls out of support. So that's my report tonight, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any changes to the agenda?
No, Madam.
Okay. Mr. City Attorney?
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. And Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mayor. We just received the certification notice from Timothy Flanagan, our Registrar of Voters, for the results of the November 5th, 2024 general election. So I just want to congratulate Scott Tonneson was reelected to City Council. That was a tough race. Representing District 2. Pam Bertani was reelected to City Council, and she will now represent District 4. And then our only new council member this year is Manveer Sandhu, who was elected to City Council and will represent District 6. And then Arvinda Krishnan was reelected as the city treasurer, and I was reelected as the city clerk, and we both ran unopposed, so that was pretty easy. And then the other part of my report is we still have some seats open on city committees. One is the CDBG Advisory Committee. We only received 2 applicants, and there are 5 seats open. You can go on the website to committees, and the applications are on there. Or you can call the city clerk's office at 707-428-7402. The Landscape Oversight Committee, we also have 1 seat open, and we have not received an application yet. And one more committee, the Golf Advisory Board. And that deadline isn't till December 19th, but we have 2 seats available for the Golf Advisory Board. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And now we'll turn to presentations, please.
Anna Giles, the assistant to the city manager, will present our sister city students who arrived on Saturday from Narasaki, Japan. Thank you.
Hi, Anna.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for having me again. I was here a year ago with our prior sister city cohort, and I am excited to have returned with a new group of students who are brave from Narasaki visiting us. As mentioned, they landed on Saturday, and they are with us through December 17th, so a full 2 weeks of adventures. And a little background for the Sister City program for anyone who might not be familiar with it. It started in 1971 when city of Fairfield was paired with city of Narasaki, and the intention of the program is to build international relationships with cities across the world. And in 1988, we had our first student exchange between Narasaki and Fairfield. And ever since then, we have continued annually to have a student exchange where we send our students in the summer and they come and visit us in December. We took a brief pause during those COVID years, but we started right back up. And it's been a very robust program and relationship that we've had with Narasaki for all of these years. And really, these students who come over or who go and visit Narasaki, it's an opportunity not just for them to experience another country, but really to expand their cultural and civic understanding of what it means to be a citizen of Fairfield, of Narasaki, and then of the world. And they're building lifelong friendships. It's remarkable to hear the alum who come through this program, and 30 years later, they're talking about how this has really changed their lives, their career path, and the way that they participate in the world. I do want to also acknowledge, though, that this program would not be possible without the community support. We have a number of businesses and local manufacturers that our students visit when they come to Fairfield, and oftentimes these businesses are donating admission tickets or donating their time by giving custom tours to these students so they can understand really what is the industry and economy of Fairfield, as well as the host family. So if you're a host family this year, can you raise your hand? Yeah, we have amazing host families this year. And so when students from Narasaki visit, they actually stay with the family, and they're really understanding what it means to have life in America and to be part of a Fairfield family. And families just adjacent to Fairfield, Vacaville, and Sassoon City as well, they support our community in this program. And so I do have certificates of participation for each of our students to recognize their accomplishment, and I'm going to call them up, and they're going to introduce themselves very quickly just so you get to know who is visiting us this year. So with that, as I call your name, if you could come up. Ren Hiroshima.
Hello everyone, my name is Ren Hiroshima, and I'm 70 years old, and even now I love this city because the people who live in here are very kind. So thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
They know me.
Taisuke.
Hello. Hello. I'm a Taisuke. I'm 15 years old. I love this city because our family so very kind, and this city can experience beautiful experience, exotic experiences. Thank you.
Masanori.
Hello, my name is Masanori. I'm 17 years old. I want to make a strong friendship with Fairfield people. Thank you.
Meika.
Hello everyone, I'm Maker. I'm 14 years old. I want to try American junk food. I love Fairfield people. Thank you.
Udai?
My name is Udai. I'm 14 years old. I'm excited to spend time in here with my host family and my friends and many people. Thank you.
Mayu.
Hello, I'm Miyusata. I'm 13 years old. I love Fairfield. Thank you.
Yuki.
Hello everyone, my name is Yuki Asakawa. I'm 24 years old. I work in Nirasaki City. Thank you as always.
And Ayaka.
Hello everyone. Thank you. Hello everyone. My name is Ayaka. Thank you for welcoming us very kindly. And I love Fairfield because of a lot of beautiful place and a lot of kind people. Thank you.
So Ayaka and Yuki are also our chaperones as well. So if you see us around town over the next 2 weeks, please say hello. As they mentioned, Fairfield's hospitality really transcends across countries, and it's a reputation that Narasaki knows well. So thank you again.
Thank you. I was blessed to meet this crew the other day when they came into town and we were in here. And I told them that they are now representing Fairfield when they're around. So, and they got to sit up here and be council people. And we talked about, I made up an issue, which is kind of probably an issue, I could talk to code, but about how many dogs you should have in the backyard or in your house. And that we were going to limit them. And so they talked about that. They did great. They came to where shouldn't be more than 3, really. We're not more than 3 dogs, but they got to see how we work, kind of. And their mayor was a lot nicer than I am. She let everybody talk, whenever they wanted to. But it was great fun, and I appreciate it. It's good to see you again. Yes.
We're going to take a picture. You want to come up front?
Oh, sure. Okay. Everyone look there. Everyone look at me. Smile. I'll take a few. Because someone always closes their eyes. Okay, and then I have one more phone. Okay, everyone. Smile. There we go. Thank you. Welcome.
We're now going to move on to public comments, please, Madam Clerk.
Public comments. Persons wishing to address the City Council on subjects not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the council may do so at this time. The council cannot discuss or take action on matters not on the agenda for this meeting, but council members may briefly respond to statements made or questions raised by the public, ask for clarification from staff, refer the matter to staff, request staff to report back to the council at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. If you're online to speak on an agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature or press star 9 on your phone. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes per item. Thank you. And our first speaker is Brian Lynch, to be followed by,
Welcome back, Mr. Lynch.
All right, thank you very much. Can you believe it's been a year and a half? I know, it's been a year and a half, and I just, Madam Mayor, good evening to you, Council, good evening to you all. It's a little strange being up here again, but I think we've all been busy. I've been checking online to the weekly updates and see you've been busy. I've been busy, and I just wanted to say some things tonight, okay? I actually came down here for a birthday party, a 91st birthday party. If
nice.
Those of you remember the speech where I mentioned the lady with who was part of the Grapes of Wrath. She's turning
Yes.
91 tonight, so I wanted
Happy
to get
birthday
there.
to her.
I was invited, so I said, okay, I'll stop by. I spent a lot of time with she and also the great warrior from that speech.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I wanted to say, I understand you now have, from doing the research, I understand you now have ambassadors. You also have done some strategic plan for the Works Department. You're updating your parks, and I think that's a great idea. That's what I always wanted to see around here, and it looks like you've been very busy with that. Okay, so good luck with those projects. So I too have been busy for, I learned that not only to talk the talk as I did here, but I also have to walk the walk. And for the last year and a half, I have been. I've had a couple jobs where I've gone the extra effort. I take that extra step. It really shows. And my current job is not doing it for me, though. So I was looking online recently, and I was looking, and for the city of Reno, they are looking for a council relations liaison. And I said, interesting. So some of you may get a phone call because they are going to be doing some research, I'm sure. Okay, I just applied for it. I don't know yet, haven't been contacted, but we're still in the process. When I first left here, if you remember, I didn't have a place to live, but I did find a place. I lived in Truckee for 2 months. That contract ended and it got too expensive, so I moved to Tahoe City. Tahoe City, I had to deal with the bears. I never had to deal with bears before and the coyotes, but we dealt with bears. They broke into my car 3 times. Fortunately, I didn't leave any calling card, but they did get my snacks. My neighbor was Mark Zuckerberg. We shared the same park. I never met him, but I did meet some of his colleagues. There's a big Facebook contingent in that area. He also lived on the lake side of the road. I couldn't afford that. And then I unfortunately decided to move to, initially I thought it was unfortunate, but I moved to Reno. I now live in Reno, currently looking for
I know you remember this, but your time's up.
I didn't even see that. Oh, can I finish? Because it's a great story.
Well,
It's a great story.
actually, I can't do that tonight. I'm sorry, because we have speakers and other stuff. I'm sorry. You can send it to us in a love note.
That's why I tried to write these things down, and I went off my speech. All right.
It was good hearing from you.
I wanted to tell you, I moved my mom to Reno. It was so important. She was having trouble, so I moved her there. And the ambassadors that they have there, I really promote that. They've done some things downtown because of those ambassadors, I believe, and I support the ambassadors and what you guys are going to talk about tonight. I didn't know it was part of tonight, but when I showed up, I saw that. So good luck with that program.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Danny Roach, and He wanted to yield his time to his wife. And her name is Nadine Roach.
We're not going to do that. You'll just get your 3 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I told her.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay, well, I'll make this as quick as I can and try and read directly off my notes, because I'm not here for such happy reasons as we're seeing here, unfortunately. Anyway, here's my petition. Anyway, good evening.
Good evening.
Council members and Madam Mayor. My name is Nadine Roach, and I'm here to present to you a petition on behalf of myself and 11 other residents currently residing at Baltic Court, Fairfield. We're requesting that you enforce Section 3 of the Fairfield Municipal Code with regard to animals, and that you take action against Mickey Siki, who is currently housing and feeding more than 30 feral cats at 2322 Baltic Court. Besides this petition, there are attached 2 other letters, one from the Humane Animal Services, a daily activity report, and one from Rachel Gardner, who is the CEO for a cat rescue program. From April 2021 to June of 2022, the cat rescue was involved with trapping and releasing and vaccinating and neutering the cats that are currently housed at this home. As I speak to you now, and after speaking with Rachel Gardner, it is now estimated that our court, and the only one who did not sign this in our court, is the one who is housing these animals. They estimate now that there are approximately 100 feral cats. It's a very unhealthy colony. They're very prolific. We had our neighbor trapped 8 kittens and 2 adults. One of them was born without limbs because of the inbreeding. I am begging you, imploring you to do something. This is not an overnight deal. This is not going to change unless somebody does something. It's a 2-year project, and I need somebody to contact the Humane Society and Animal Control. I know there are some administrative issues, but if we don't do something for this unhealthy program, we live in a proverbial cat litter box. Every one of our yards is covered with cat feces, and my kids come over and they say, "Mom, do you have a sewer leak?" No, I don't. Sorry to say. I'm just imploring you to enforce Section 3 of the municipal code. It's time. I know you want me to yield. I don't know.
It's your time is up, but we hear what you said and we have everything here. So usually it is animal control that handles this stuff, but we'll look at the code and have code enforcement look at this as well. And I understand this doesn't make you feel any better, I understand. We have this issue throughout the city at different places. Okay. Oh, and the city manager will speak to you.
Yeah, Ms. Roach, what I'd ask you to do, we've got the information, but right in the back of the room, we've got Captain Brad Collins from the police department. I'd suggest maybe stepping out into the foyer, and he's happy to chat with you about the issues and see if there's any way we can help address that.
It is so inhumane. It breaks my heart, honestly, to have to go through, for any of us, all 11 people in the court didn't even want to see the 37 pages. All they wanted to do was sign. It's so sad. Our kids can't go out. You know, my husband and I have lived there for 37 years. It's our forever home. I don't want to be forced out because my husband's pre-existing conditions and the health issues that are being created, toxoplasmosis, Are you aware of all those things?
I am.
It's horrible.
Yeah, ma'am, that's where Captain Collins is right back there. He's happy to chat with you right now.
Ready to talk to you?
My phone number is on there.
Thank you.
Yes, I have your phone number. But I
Maybe
would,
somebody could call me.
but I
Or
would
why
say
don't you
that-
just
Ma'am,
take
ma'am,
a ride in our
The
Ma'am,
captain's gonna talk to
the
you right
captain from
now.
the police department
Try to
is
get
right
you
back
help.
there. He's happy to talk to you right now.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Ron Turner.
Mr. Turner.
Sergeant Turner's dad.
Good evening, council members and mayor. So on a lighter note, and that was really serious, it's nice to be a B-lister now that Senator Dodd's out of office and staffers can do whatever we want to do. And as a retiree, one of my plans has always been is to make myself available during the holidays as a Santa Claus of color. So anyone in the community that needs a Santa, they can reach me through the 100 Club, our police, fire, first responder group, the 100 Club of Solano and Yolo counties, and we will have a Santa available for your community activities. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you. That's great.
Did anyone else wish to speak on public comment? Okay, my other cards are for items later on in the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're going to go on to the consent calendar now.
Consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion unless a member of the City Council or the public requests that separate action be taken on a specific item. I don't have any speaker cards for any of those items.
And the two people online don't have their hands up, I guess, right?
No.
Okay, colleagues, bringing it back to you. We got a motion from Councilman Tonneson.
Second.
Second from Councilman Vaccaro. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous, 6-0 with the vice mayor absent. Now we're going to move to new business, item L1.
Item L1, Unsheltered Street Outreach and Tenancy Support Services Presentation and Direction. And our presenter is our Homeless Services Manager, Samantha Burrows.
Good evening. So this evening we are going to talk about the outcomes of our rank and review process for street outreach and tenancy support services. I also have the providers that are being recommended to do a brief presentation as well. So as part of the 2023-2025 strategic goals, the City Council identified developing a street outreach team. And as part of that process, 4 staff positions were created to do street outreach. They were frozen because there was a gap in my position, the Homeless Services Manager. And then when I came on board, we looked at basically contracting that out with a service provider. And so that's what kind of led us to this spot. As we all know, on June 30th of this year, our homeless intervention team was also reduced due to city cuts. So now more than ever, we do need additional help out there on our streets to get our unhoused inside. Oh, one of my slides disappeared. Oh, okay. Well, one of my slides disappeared. I had the pit count information on there, but we'll just skip that. That's all good. Basically, the slide that disappeared was our pit count results, just to remind everybody that from January, our pit results, we had 590 individuals counted in Fairfield. 414 were unsheltered that night. So just to kind of give us an idea of where we're at. So timeline of process. In September, on September 30th, we released a request for proposals in partnership with our Housing Services Department in order to streamline and better utilize staff resources to have those two brought together into one RFP. The unsheltered street outreach is focusing on our boots on the ground here in Fairfield to increase capacity in addressing the impacts of those that are unsheltered. Also building positive relationships with PD, our Homeless Services Division, and other service partners, and assisting those that are unhoused and unsheltered to resources linking to emergency shelter and longer-term housing solutions. Also to assist those that are literally on the streets with getting document ready for housing. That is one of the biggest barriers, is not having the documents that you need in order to secure housing if you're actually matched to something. Tenancy Support Services is going to support our tenant-based rental assistance programs, our TBAR, through our housing department, and they are here, of course, if you have questions as we go. This will be providing individuals that are unhoused or recently released from institutional settings, especially those with disabilities, help find and maintain housing with the support of the TBAR vouchers. And that's a 2-year voucher. Kind of works like, like our Section 8 housing choice vouchers, but it's temporary for 2 years. And, studies have shown that you need support, right? There's a lot of paperwork, also transitioning into housing and helping folks maintain their life skills, pay their rent, do recertifications, because the units have to be re-inspected per codes of housing authority. So those support services will help folks guide that process and hopefully secure longer-term permanent solutions at the end of that program. We did receive 4 applications for outreach and 2 applications for tenancy support services. So the applications came from Kaminar, Canby, Change in New Beginnings, Mission Samoa, and Niue Express, and then tenancy support services was Kaminar and Change in New Beginnings. We had a rank and review panel that consisted of 6 department representations from the city, because we know the impacts of unhoused situation does impact our city across the board. So we had homeless services, housing, the HIT team, fire, public works, our HEART team out there, and also community development were represented. We also had an individual with lived experience on the streets of Fairfield rank and review with us. The outcome of that was recommending Kaminar for tenancy support services. And for the street outreach, it was their recommendation to have an additional interview with the top 2 scoring applicants, which was Kaminar and Canby. A select group of team, so homeless, housing, and the HIT team, actually the entire HIT team came to do the interviews with both Canby and Kaminar, and the final recommendation after the interview and rescoring was Canby for the unhoused street outreach. To look at what it was, it will be 2 separate contracts that grand total $95,000 over 3 years. Homeless services is $2,500,000 per year, and that is general funds. That is budgeted in our homeless services budget. And the housing department is supporting tenancy support services through a one-time funding of $200,000 through the state-funded pro-housing incentive program. That funding does need to be used by February of 2027, and they are also going to continue to look for additional funding to hopefully continue the program, but this is what we have right now. I also do want to note that if you read the staff report, last week there was a typo. It said $2,500,000 for tenancy support services. It really is $200,000. So now I'm going to bring Canby up to talk about the program that they are proposing. And I don't know why it's bouncing. Hold on. Okay, so this is Kari Reeder, and I'll turn it over to her.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for allowing us to speak tonight. So I've been the executive director of Canby for the past 5.5 years. And I started my homeless outreach in 2006 when I was at Opportunity House, and I've been staffed at the JPA. We are located at 416 Union, which is conveniently located between the liquor store and the jail, and most of you have been to the agency to see what we do, which is quite a bit. We are a small but mighty agency. Doug was just there the other day getting some stuff. Started my outreach with Chief Dan Marshall and some other people on the Fairfield PD here in Fairfield. The agency does a food giveaway 3 days a week between 12 and 2. So we get a lot of people coming in. There's no eligibility. They just come and get what they want. We give away clothes, hygiene kits. People come and pick up their mail, get ID vouchers for DMV. We get food from Trader Joe's, Raley's, and the food bank. So we have plenty of food to give away. There's a huge demand for food, obviously, it's so expensive. But then we also have a lot of people coming into the agency. We've got Solano County Public Health comes in and sees clients. Solano County Mental Health has appointments with clients at CanB. Solano County Community Services comes out and meets with clients. So it's a nice little hub of a lot of activity. So what we propose to do for this outreach plan is to hire 2 new outreach workers who we will train and who will train with the HIT team. And we'll have a nice schedule so that people are seen on a regular basis, and we'll figure out how to break up the city to get people where we want them. So it's designed to address homelessness through a comprehensive approach focused on direct engagement and community collaboration. One of the 2 people we're hiring has been a case manager for years. The other person has experience of having been homeless in Fairfield. How do I get to the next one? So collaboration is really big to CanB. Ricky, you were talking about the students, and I have a date coming up to meet with the vice principal of Fairfield High and Solano County Office of Education to see how CanB can help kids in schools. So we're constantly doing outreach with different groups to really feel immersed in the community and that we have our finger on the pulse of what's going on. Let's see, where am I? So the next slide, we talk about engagement and service connection. I had somebody that I used to work with back in the day come up to the agency last Friday in a brand new medical truck, and he's partnering with Touro University, and he wants to partner with us to do outreach. So these things keep coming to us, and we're going to spread out and get out in the community. Something that's super important to me is the data. We work very closely with Dre with Resource Connect. We're constantly trying to get better data in so that we can get the real data out. And we want to be able to measure our effectiveness with this project. So we're anticipating reaching out to about 500 participants to offer supportive services, healthcare, mental health, substance abuse treatment, housing resources, and employment sources. And the outreach workers will maintain consistent weekly contact with at least 85% of the individuals to build trust and encourage service agreement. We have a very good history of engaging with these folks. And in my opinion, they're all as unique as your fingerprint. All the needs are different. All of the ambitions different. All the trauma is different. So everybody needs a really individualized approach. So we will centralize comprehensive support through individual service plans, and then we'll have more intensive case management for those people who've been homeless longer or have more mental health or substance abuse. We are housing first. Our goal is to get people housed, and then we'll deal with their issues after that. So with the intensive case management, we're looking at 20 people a month or 240 people annually. And the light touch case management would be 40 participants a month or 480 families. So we really have quite a bit of experience. We're very well connected with the community. We helped out Ron Turner's brother. He's partnered with us on some other things. Jim Engelbright is here. He's partnered with us. So I really feel a good connection with our community. Now we just have to deploy our troops in a very safe manner and get out there and get connected with those folks in the Toolies and behind the agency and encourage them to come in. And we like them to come into the agency and get multiple services at once because they don't want to go down to Beck Avenue or they don't want to get lost going there. Bus pass is a big thing. So we would be purchasing bus passes, lots of hygiene items. We get clothing donated quite frequently. We've got a lot of furniture. If somebody gets housed, we can put furniture in their apartment. That's what we would do with all of our veterans. When they get a voucher, then we have a plethora of furniture to give them. So that is my presentation. I think Dre's going to pick up the lead.
Well, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Okay, Cara, you mentioned an assistant principal at Fairfield High. I think it's is that Karina Colantino?
It's Val something. I just met her at an event the other night.
Karina Colantino, she's at Armio High, and she does a lot of work in the, I work with her, and she does a lot of work in the community. So that might be someone to get in touch with.
Thank you.
She's a valuable resource. She really is.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else have any questions of her? Yes, Councilwoman Williams.
More of a comment than a question. I did tour Canby. Extremely, extremely impressed with how much you do with so little. Also through our study sessions, we've talked about the unsheltered community and your work you do. Just really blows me away when I see your outcome numbers, and again how much you use. But the last part of the comment is that I've also been doing tours with HIT and with Solano Behavioral Health and Heart, and when I talk to some of our unsheltered on the street, they mention your organization. So I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the emergency shelter, where we are full, and just thrilled to have that space and get people off the streets. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anybody else? Any comments or questions of her? Okay.
Okay, so just a little bit, like, for what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to determine our results from investment? So to start off with, they are going to meet weekly with the Homeless Services Department, and if HIT wants to join sporadically, they can. I know their schedules sometimes, because they have to be out on the street. So we will be meeting with them regularly to look at, phone calls we may have been gotten from the community, targeting areas, hot spots in the area, and also to look at, those getting intensive services. How are they? Where are they in their process of getting document ready and having their coordinated entry assessments completed and all of that. They will be submitting monthly outreach reports and summary of progress like we are doing with the emergency shelters. They will be recording their services in HMIS and Clarity, and I have access, I can see that and verify that. And of course, we will report back to council on the progress, just like we've been doing every 6 months or so with the other services that the city sponsors. Okay. Any other questions about outreach before I have Dre come up to speak? We switch gears to tenancy support services.
No.
Okay. So I will welcome Dre Richards up here to talk from Kaminar to talk about housing support services.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is DeAndre Richard. I'm with Kaminar, and I am the Program Director for Resource Connect Solano. I'm also the Chair of our Housing First Solano COC, and I hold a low-income representative seat on the Tripartite Advisory Board. So a little bit about Kaminar. Kaminar is a leading behavioral health organization, and we support about 31,000 youths and adults in 6 counties. We also have housing programs that work with coordinated entry, rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, where we intake, assess, and triage folks and refer them to services. About the housing navigation, the Tenancy Support Services Program, we're going to name it the Housing Intervention Solutions Program. So with this program, it'll have about 4 components: landlord engagement, direct service coordination, case management, and housing navigation. Those 4 areas, we feel like landlord engagement, we probably have a housing locator with the Resource Connect Solano program and have relationships with landlords throughout the community and work to leverage those relationships that we have. And we also have a support fund a mitigation fund for a higher security deposit for individuals that are moving in with our landlords that we partner with. So if excessive damages happen in the unit, then we're able to use that additional funding to support that up to $2,000. We also have a landlord incentive program. So landlords that do work with us and work with our participants, we can give them an incentive. First-time landlords to take our participants. In this program, we also, for housing navigation, we plan to work closely with the Canby outreach team and the folks that they're connecting with, the folks that they're connecting to their outreach program, being able to bring them into our housing intervention solutions program and offer that case management. Case management, Kamala, we have a couple programs that we provide case management at. Fairhaven Commons here is one of them. Also, Blue Oak Landing in Vallejo is another project. We have Bringing Family Home programs in Contra Costa County, which is a reunification rapid rehousing program that we're also a part of. And case management for us is just making sure folks are able to obtain housing and then maintain the housing. So helping them get ID vouchers if that's not there, Social Security cards, income, whether that's connecting to Social Security or helping with job applications, and just kind of creating a plan of support, like identifying goals to work on and attack those goals. Direct service coordination, we also work with different providers around the community. Resource Connect Solano, we're able to connect folks to resources. So we work very closely with Solano County Behavioral Health, Solano Family Justice Center, Bank, Back Avenue Navigation Center, Fighting Back Partnerships in Vallejo, a boat outreach team as well. So different partners and direct resources that we plan to connect these folks to when we're able to get them into housing and help them maintain those units. I think that was it. You guys have any questions?
Questions? Councilman Tonneson?
Yeah, Dre, is it?
Yes, sir.
So what is your relationship with with Resource Connect? Are you guys one and the same, or do you work together, or how's that?
It's a good question. Kaminar is the agency, the behavioral health agency, and Resource Connect Solano is a program underneath that Kaminar umbrella. I'm the program director for Resource Connect Solano.
So, I'm not trying to be that guy, but
go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
The Resource Connect building frustrates me more than almost any building downtown. The homeless are all over the building, like multiple times a year. Very rarely is there not somebody sleeping in a doorway, camped out on a side of the building, and I'm sure you don't own the building, but Resource Connect's name is on the building. Is there anything you can do to help remedy that problem, or is there anything that we can do to, because it's a eyesore. And sorry, I drive by there every day.
Yeah, that's a good question. No, we just rent the space in the property, so there's not really too much we can do.
So here's my frustration. I don't mean to cut you off.
It's okay.
But there is something you can do, because this is the population that you work with. So if they're camping out at your building 24/7, couldn't you get them help or direct them somewhere?
So we can get so our program, Resource Connect Solano, we do intakes and assessments and triage for folks and make sure that they're in a queue. So once their name comes up on that queue, we can refer them to placements when and if they're available. So yeah, we can connect them to services. A lot of those folks are connected to our programs and come to us and get food and clothes and things like every day. Where they go outside and sleep, that doesn't bother me. It might be an eyesore to the property manager of that building, but at least they're somewhere safe because they know we're going to be back there the next day and come get those services. So I feel like it's a safe place for them. I know that might not be the best answer right for the landlord, but since our services are there, that's why they're coming there. Just like they go to other agencies that have services because they have relationships with us that are there, and they want to come get that help.
I think and I'm not taking this out on you, I just hope you see the irony of
I do.
Your Resource Connect, and they're all connected to the building, so.
Yeah,
if there's anything you can do if there's anything that we can do to help, but if that's a problem that you could help remedy,
yeah,
I'd appreciate that.
I feel like the lack of resources too is there too. Sometimes we have over 2,000 folks open to our program, and there's not 2,000 housing units. So to be able to help them with IDs and socials and income and connect them to behavioral health, that's the help that we feel like they're providing, because kind of building that support system. So then when those resources come available, they can get. But I hear you though.
I understand. I just wanted to get that out.
I hear you.
Yes, Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. So I serve on the Tripart Advisory Board with Dre. And I will tell you that what he's taught me about continuum of care, I couldn't get the information anywhere else. I was just trying to understand exactly what the picture of unsheltered looked like. And I just felt like I was grabbing at straws. And Dre gave me the most comprehensive view of what that is. Also, I went to Kaminar and visited their operations. Again, an operation that operates in excellence. And the fact that our city is now tied like this in this program to these two organizations, I think it's deeper than what is here in front of us. Street outreach and Tennessee support services. I think this is a powerful partnership, and I'm looking for it to be the anchor to shift things in the next 2 years. I know that's more than what the agreement says, but I just see great hope and advancement in this relationship.
It's good to hear. Thank you. Dre, just one thing. I know if it's on private property, that's okay, but people cannot sleep in camp, not in the city of Fairfield anymore. We're going to arrest them if they don't accept our help. And I know that sounds, no, to the taxpayers it doesn't sound cold. These people need to, they need to make choices, and I know there are a lot of times they're not in a space to do that, but we're going to have to move it along. All right? Thank you. Yes, Councilwoman Panduro.
Thank you. I just wanted to, so myself and Councilmember Doug Carr both sit on the Capilano JPA, and I know just last week we held a meeting where they also, both Kaminar that got the, and then CAMB, and there was one other organization.
Fourth, second, and Opportunity
Correct.
House.
And so in that conversation, it was about breaking down silos, which I think is great, and I think this also shows that. And so I think the hope is that because these silos are broken down and that there is money and funding going towards this population, that we will see a impact. And so then my question is around, because the money is for a 3-year period, has there been any thought or like plan for contingency with regards, so what happens after that funding is no longer available? Like because you guys are gonna have amped up all this help and then all of a sudden the money is not there. So then what happens after the 3 years?
So on our side of it, we have relationships with Kaiser, Sutter, Wells Fargo that have offered us like prevention and diversion assistance to be able to help folks with different things. So we plan to hopefully be able to ask them and a couple other grants that come out, and like NOFOs with rapid rehousing and PSH, different things that come out, apply for all of those to help us sustain this funding if it's not able to be renewed.
Thank you, Dre. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Councilman Doug.
Just one, not really a question, but just some advice that we do know what the population, with this particular population, what the percentage of the substance use disorders are. And I just want to make sure that you're connected with the treatment programs. And real close to you is such a, like A.K. Bean Foundation. We got Recovery Connection in Vallejo. I think that part of that whole case management thing should have the requirements and make sure that they're the requirements for the substance abuse treatment. Thank you.
And I would say that is one of the things for the outreach services that we're going to be tracking is linkages not only to behavioral health services, but substance abuse as well. We know that not everyone may accept it, but that way they can report on if they were successfully able to connect to someone.
I have a quick question about CAMB. They're hiring 2 people. Is that 2 people for the county contract and the city contract, or is that just for the city?
The city contract.
Very good. Thank you.
So essentially, they'll have 2.5 individuals, if I'm remembering correctly, right? Doing outreach? Yes. And the 0.5 also is doing Sassoon. Correct. Yeah.
0.5 is doing soon.
As well. So the funding that was from the other week from the JPA, they broke up it regionally. So there's a different provider doing different regions. So someone in Vallejo, and so Canby is going to be doing Sassoon and Fairfield. And so yes, that's at 0.5. That's separate from the contract.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? What the plan is if you guys are amendable to the providers that have been recommended from the rank and review process, we will bring the contract to the next council meeting for outreach, and then housing is estimated to bring their contract in January. They have been informed that they have been awarded the funds from the state. They are just waiting to get the contract in hand before we go in contract. So it's just a matter of the state at this point.
So you just need direction, right?
Correct.
So a thumbs up for everybody who would like this to come back for us to vote on.
Yes. Okay.
That's unanimous.
Then we will bring it to consent at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought somebody else had something there. Huh?
Okay,
Yep, so
item
now we're on to
L2.
item L2.
Okay. Resolution 2024-278, Human Resources HR Deferred Compensation Committee Charter, approving the charter of the City of Fairfield Defined Contribution Retirement Plan Committee and delegating duties and responsibilities over city-sponsored retirement benefit plans. And our presenter is our HR Director, Farbod Peruzman.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. I only have a 45-minute presentation on the difference between deferred comp.
You're fired.
So very quickly, actually, we are creating a deferred compensation committee specifically for our defined contribution plans. And those are deferred comp plans, 457 and 401A plans. We do not currently have a committee, and the best practice is to actually delegate the responsibility you currently have as the City Council. You are the fiduciary for these plans. So it behooves us to allow you to authorize your staff to do the hard work there. So we're asking for you to adopt a resolution to approve a charter for this committee. This committee will also have representatives not only from Finance, HR, City Manager's Office, but also from the employee organizations. Employee associations will have a representative on this committee as well. And we are also asking, by the way of approving this charter, to delegate to the City Manager the authority to make plan amendments. And that's very specific for legal reasons, and because every time we want to make an amendment, we don't want to come to the City Council and ask for that authority. We're asking you to give that authority to the City Manager or a designee of the City Manager. And with that, I can answer any questions you may have generally on what this committee does.
Questions, anybody? Doesn't look like there are any questions. Wow, that was a fast 45 minutes. I like it. So Councilman Tonnison's making a motion to approve this. Is that correct? Somebody want to second that? Second, Councilman Vaccaro. All in favor? Aye, and that was unanimous. Thank you. Oh, he's gone already. See, they're moving right along. This is the way it's supposed to be. Next, we're on to public hearings.
Yes, item M1, Resolution 2024-279, Public Works Energy Performance Contract, Wilden Energy Solution, making findings required under Government Code Section 421710 to 421718, authorizing the city manager to enter into an energy savings performance contract with Wilden Energy Solutions for efficiency and infrastructure improvement projects, authorizing staff to negotiate a financing plan not to exceed $23 million, updating the 5-year capital improvement plan to include the Energy Conservation Project Phase 1, and authorizing an update to the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. And our presenter is Marisa Kumpion, Senior Management Analyst from Public Works.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Hi, and Council. I don't know that I'll be quite as quick as that, but it's going to be right on the heels of it. So.
Go get 'em, Marisa.
There we go. So we're at a milestone this evening. Essentially, I'm bringing forth the energy savings performance contract associated with all of the energy conservation efforts to date. And so if you recall, we undertook the energy program with some main objectives in mind. Essentially, we wanted to look at the current baseline of our city energy usage, maximize energy and operational savings, and in big, bold letters here, address the many deferred maintenance issues that we currently are managing. A lot of our facilities are from the 1970s and really haven't had a lot of those upgrades until here we are in 2024. So through this contract, we think that we have achieved leveraging those savings and are looking forward to next steps of a turnkey project delivery. To give you a quick recap on the timeline, this effort really kicked off in June of 23. At that time, we had, previous to that, we had gone through a competitive RFQ process in order to select Willdan as our energy partner in this effort. We kicked off in June of 23, and what that looked like was a variety of different research on our facilities and looking at the findings in terms of what has culminated into an investment grade audit. That's over 200 pages of findings. It is not an attachment tonight, but it essentially supported the fact that the contract that we're bringing forth for your consideration this evening will realize significant long-term savings and allow us to manage some of the improvements that are greatly needed for these facilities. So through July and October of this year, we went through scope and pricing refinement. So as a part of the RFQ, we essentially selected Willdan to perform what is called a design build contract. Typically, you'll see a design bid build where the city's managing the bid process. However, this is slightly different. And for that reason, Willdan has already met with a lot of the various firms in terms of roofing and HVAC in order to get the pricing that we're able to bring forward in tonight's contract. So here we are in December, bringing forth this energy savings contract for your consideration and also authorizing financing plan for the additional funding required. We were able to identify about $8.4 million of capital outlay currently available in the budget, and we anticipate financing the residual. So as a part of the resolution, we're asking for an amount not to exceed $22 million. Some of the measures that we'll discuss here are the Civic Center CUP, which again has significant need. A lot of the main equipment pieces, again, are from the 1970s and are quite expensive to patch as we're looking to modernize this overall and just do an overhaul. We're also looking at roofing here at City Hall, HVAC, and essentially I believe it's multiple project measures across 22 facilities and 26 parks for our phase 1 effort. In terms of potential projections, we're looking at a total of $4.3 million to $17.9 million in overall lifetime savings. That's a huge gap. We recognize that. And the reason for that is we are anticipating PG&E and all of their various rate hikes. I think I recently saw that there was a 5th proposed hike. And so for that reason, we wanted to be conservative in our estimates, but also recognize and celebrate the fact that we do anticipate savings in this phase 1 project. And we can get into very fine details on this if you're interested, if there's any questions about this slide. So we have a very hearty recommendation. What we're looking for are these bullets here, and I'll explain a little bit more about adopting the required findings. The process that we went through to select Willdan as our energy company works with the government code section 4217, and that allows them to assist with defining the actual project and then supporting the delivery of the project in itself. And so the findings that are needed to be considered and basically adopted indicate that we have supported the fact that we will have significant savings in this overall project, what staff has done. We're asking for the city manager to have authorization to execute the overall performance contract, which is coming in at slightly under $30 million. for staff to be able to return to council with a financing plan not to exceed $23 million, an update to the 5-year capital improvement plan to add this project in, and then authorizing an update for the $8.4 million to be transferred from the various funding sources that we found into the 24-25 budget. And with that, myself and some of our consultant representatives are here available for questions. Thank you.
Colleagues, questions? Councilman Tonneson?
So I guess I have more of a comment. That's a huge gap, 4.3 to 17.9. I mean, I trust the staff, and if you do the minimum savings at 4.3, you're still having a fairly substantial savings a year, but, and I don't really want to break down why such a wide gap. I'm just pointing out that that is a wide gap. So even if we split the middle somewhere, it's still a significant savings. If we say the number's 10 million, still a significant savings. So, but I just wanted to, I don't really want to get into the details of why the gap is so big, but
Yeah.
I'll trust staff, and trust our city manager, and I'm good with this.
All right. Anybody else have a comment? Questions? Nope. Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing.
I don't have any speaker cards. Did anyone want to speak on this item? Okay, and there are no hands raised online.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing, and I'm going to bring it back to the council and entertain a motion. Move from Councilman Vaccaro, second by Councilman Panduro. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that was unanimous. Thank you, colleagues. Now, we are going to move on to item M2.
Yes, item M2, Resolution 2024-280, Community Development Cannabis Retail Business Permit, rescinding approving issuance of a commercial cannabis retail business permit to Authentic Fairfield LLC. And our presenter is Dave Zellers, Director of Economic and Community Development.
Colleagues, we have, as you know, received letters, emails from a couple of folks, including a lawyer, two from a lawyer, for the folks who currently have Authentic. And I'd like to know if any of you are interested in doing what they've asked, and that is to delay the hearing until later so they could have some time. They've had, it looked to me, about 17 days from their first contact to having to be here with a lawyer, and their lawyer is not here, I don't think, not in person. Is that right?
I think she might be on Zoom. Madam Clerk, is the attorney on Zoom? Okay. But Madam Clerk, is the attorney on Zoom?
I'm not aware. Valeria, is there someone on Zoom?
Yes, she is. Nicole Phillips.
Yes. Hi. And I'm sorry that first of all, I apologize for not being able to be there in person. Obviously, if I could be in two places at once, I would. But I will attempt to. I appreciate the mayor's request for a continuance. Obviously, we have very short notice. I have serious due process concerns about proceeding with a public hearing this evening, including based on a lack of information in the record to support rescission. And so would very much appreciate the opportunity to appear before you in person and to present a full, explanation and defense of why Authentic Fairfield should retain its license. And I do believe
All right,
that.
Madam, I just needed to confirm that you were there. We haven't
Apologies.
opened the public hearing, so I just wanted to confirm that you were somewhere, and you've done that, so thank you. So anyway, back to Councilman Tonneson.
It's on the agenda. I've done all my homework. I like to hear the item tonight if council would be in support of that.
That's a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm a no. So, okay, that's a majority, and so we'll go ahead and move forward.
Mayor and council, good evening and happy holidays. At the request of council members Vaccaro and council members Pandoro, this item was agendized. We are bringing this before you tonight as staff. Mr. Dave Feinstein is here as well to provide historical context, as he's been administering our commercial cannabis program for the last several years. And our city attorney was instrumental in preparing the resolution that is before you tonight on the agendized item, which is to rescind the preliminary approval granted to Authentic Fairfield LLC for a commercial cannabis business permit in the retail category by the city of Fairfield. I will present you with a timeline of the events and then provide some delineation for the particular items that are cited in the resolution as essentially the reasons as why council could take this action. To begin with the timeline, and I will be brief as you will live through this, obviously. The program was created in 2020, the summer of 2020. A number of council actions were taken. In the fall of 2020, you then opened an application window. An application was submitted by Authentic Fairfield on the 22nd of September of that year. Council then approved the preliminary approval in Resolution 2021-143. I'll discuss that more in a moment. Following that preliminary approval, there was contact with the entity. The last contact with the entity up until this matter was brought to the forefront again here this year was in July of 2023. At that time, one of the representatives of the entity in question contacted Mr. Feinstein as the administrator of the program to discuss one of the item of preliminary approval, which was their location. As you'll note from the applications and as you approve things along the way, one of the key considerations was the location of each of the cannabis retail businesses. They were inquiring at the time about the potential of moving to a different location. So, as I said, then we fast forward to this year. During the first reading of an ordinance that you passed and is now in effect to amend Chapter 10E of our municipal code, the request was made to agendize this item. We then, after the 30-day window to allow those changes to take effect, provided a certified letter to the entity in question, informing them of this hearing, and we noticed that hearing. We were then contacted by the entity requesting a conversation. We had, since the date on there, the 25th, which was the Monday before Thanksgiving, had multiple correspondence, both verbally and in writing, with representatives of the entity in question. Up until and including today, those correspondence over the last 48 hours, you as council members were either provided by the city attorney, and I believe some materials were placed at the dais this evening by the deputy city clerk as well, and I'll be referencing those momentarily. And one correspondence today came directly to the Planning Commission's general inbox, but all of you as council members were copied on it. And I believe, Madam Mayor, you did forward that email to the city manager, the city attorney, and our planning manager, Mr. Feinstein.
Yes.
The key matter at hand is that we have discovered through our review of documentation up to and including today, discrepancies from the application and the California Department of Cannabis Control records for ownership. There are further discrepancies in ownership that have been in documents that we have been provided by the entity in question, and I will again describe that in momentarily. There are two, excuse me, if you allow me a moment. In your resolution, there are two documents cited. One is the Fairfield Municipal Code in several sections, and the second is that preliminary approval. So in the application, which is cited in the preliminary approval, There are 5 owners listed. However, Department of Cannabis Control records, which as of today still remain, as you'll see in the presentation, which was put together prior to today, only lists one of those same individuals. So first, the justification. I won't read this whole thing, but this comes from your resolution that you passed providing that preliminary approval. The key word I'd ask you to focus in on in the highlighted section is operations. But there are a number of clauses within that preliminary approval that if there was a reason, a violation, be it of law, be it of some other change that deviates substantially from the application, that the preliminary approval could be revoked. Additionally, the resolution cites 4 sections of Chapter 10E of our municipal code, and I briefly highlight each one here. There is one I want to focus on because in our correspondence with the applicant, they have raised this issue, and that is 10E-15B. 15B talks about substantial changes in ownership, and this matter in particular has come to light more so in the last 48 hours. We were provided yesterday with 2 documents. These were operating agreements for the entity in question, and particularly a second agreement, which was made April 6, 2022, reduces the number of owners in the exhibit to 3 owners. It also lists unit classes for what I assume is ownership interests, stock, for lack of a better term. In no point prior to where we provide any communication about this, and Mr. Feinstein can attest to that, it also references a management company, which is not prior referenced in the application or the preliminary approval documents. So I know that is something that they have raised in their correspondence. I believe last week, one of the correspondents requesting the continuation from the attorney. It's not so much the 51% in and of itself referenced in 15B, but also the substantial change in ownership, which I believe has to be noted, in addition to the changes in ownership individuals. Now, regrettably, as I'm sure they will explain, one of the gentlemen who was listed on the application as an owner did pass away. Obviously, that's very tragic and sorrowful, but at no time during this period from the preliminary approval being granted until this week was the city informed that that reshuffled the percentages of ownership. And again, that individual, as long as several others on the application, and I'll show you this in a moment, are not listed on the Department of Cannabis Control website as owners as well. So first and foremost on the screen right now, and I have redacted the addresses of the individuals, this is a page from the application listing the 5 owners at the time that was submitted to the city. Only one of these individuals is listed on the Department of Cannabis Control as an owner. At the time of application, that individual owned, and I apologize, my 11.5% of the entity. This is a screenshot from the Department of Cannabis Control website from earlier this month, but again, I checked this today and it remains the same. There are 4 individuals listed as owners. Only one of those individuals is also the same from the application. Again, I apologize for how small that is. I do have a printed copy of it here as well, again, though it's quite small, even for myself at this point. I am 42. I suppose it is time for an optometrist appointment. Nonetheless, it is a discrepancy, and then that is further exacerbated now by particularly the second operating agreement that we received from 2022, where again, we were not provided any information about these ownership changes or structural changes to the entity that had received the preliminary approval. So this here is just, it's more of a zoomed in version, although admittedly not much. I apologize for that, with the highlighted section of the names of the owners listed thereon from the screenshot. That is the information that I have to present to you this evening. Again, I would defer to our city attorney if he wishes to add anything specific to the resolution itself or any other matters in this case. Or, of course, Mr. Feinstein has, as I mentioned, historical information, having administered the program for the last several years. Staff recommendation, based on the fact that this was requested for agendizing by council members, would be to approve the resolution based on the information that we have provided and discovered that would rescind this preliminary approval for this license. Thank you.
Mr. Lim, did you have anything?
No, I would just clarify that this was a review request made by the council. It was brought by Councilmember Vaccaro, seconded by Councilmember Panduro. The scope of my review was just to make sure that the code sections were properly cited, that the law as cited was correct. But this is a motion brought completely by the council. It's within the purview of the council to regulate cannabis retail business licenses, so it's in your sound discretion. You know, I'm not advocating for it one way or the other. I'm here to advise you as to your rights as council members, but this was brought by 2 council members, and so it's completely in your discretion on what you want to do.
Okay, very good. So do you want to hear public comment first? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing.
Okay, our first speaker is Joshua Lewis, to be followed by Tak Sato.
Good evening, Mayor Moy and council members. It's good to see you all again. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. My name is Josh Lewis, and I serve as Government Relations Manager for Embark, one of this community's 3 operational cannabis retail locations. On behalf of the whole team at Embark, I want to express our deep gratitude to the council and staff for your recent and ongoing efforts to strengthen and support our local industry. Tonight's resolution is yet another positive step towards that goal, and we are thankful for your thoughtful leadership. As the first operators to open in Fairfield, we have demonstrated our commitment to this community through action, dedicating the time and resources to ensure our business integrates responsibly and delivers meaningful local benefits. The proactive measures developed by staff and taken by this council underscore your belief in supporting your local industry, and we thank you, as these have all been important to the long-term viability of the operators who have done what they were promised by opening. In reviewing the staff report for tonight's hearing, we are grateful to see the recommendation to revoke an essentially dormant permit. This recommendation aligns with Fairfield's deliberate efforts to achieve the goal of a viable local cannabis industry. The 3 operators who have opened our stores have fulfilled our promises, and this resolution reinforces the city's commitment to our businesses and, in turn, our ability to serve this community. We urge you to stay focused on the thoughtful and forward-looking approach has taken by aligning with the staff report and improving this item tonight. It ensures that Fairfield's cannabis industry remains sustainable, allowing operators to continue to provide the benefits that this community deserves. Thank you again for your leadership and commitment to creating a well-regulated and functional licensed market in Fairfield. We look forward to continuing our partnership and strengthening this industry and its positive impacts within the Fairfield community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Tak Sato. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
He will have longer than 3 minutes.
Great, thank you.
Because he is representing Authentic, so he'll be able to speak for 10 minutes.
Great.
Up to.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Honorable City Council members. My name is Tak Sato. I'm the president of Authentic Fairfield. I fully admit that we have had some delays in constructing and opening up this project, and for that, I duly apologize. We had some structural and accessibility issues with our property, and we were able to work that out a couple months ago. We are now ready to break ground, and I can commit to being open as of September 2025, and I'm open to signing something where we surrender our license if we are not opened by that time. But this process, to me, has seemed a little bit rushed. We were first notified on November 16th, less than 3 weeks ago, that the city is considering revoking our license. And they had issues with the ownership listed on our application not matching the DCC's website. First of all, let me let you know that the DCC's website is not dispositive of the ownership. And it says in bold letters, the state of California makes no claims or guarantees about the accuracy of the information on this website. And we spent over $1.5 million to date. We have a property right, and yet there's not a single phone call, not a single email inquiring about this discrepancy. In fact, the last week, and I checked our systems very thoroughly a couple days ago because I was shocked about getting this letter. The last email we received from the city, the last communication we received was on June 10th from the planning department about trash on the property that needed to be cleaned up, which we duly cleaned up in 3 days. If we had the opportunity, if we had been called or emailed, we would have been able to retain an attorney and have proper representation and shown the city that we are not in violation of this code. Fairfield Municipal Code 1015 talks about transfer of ownership and new owners that need to be approved. As Mr. Zeller mentioned, we did not have any new owners. What happened was, unfortunately, Albert Mitchell, who owned 30% of the entity, passed away in 2022, and John Avador, who was an employee at the time, was let go, and his 1.5% was also given back to the company. The 3 remaining owners were the original owners listed on the application. We do not have a single new owner. And the thing that is most puzzling to me is that we have a constitutional right under the 14th Amendment to due process. Yet, we were contacted out of the blue 3 weeks ago. The company actually did not receive any correspondence about this. We found out about this through Brian Mitchell, who's here today, because he was listed as he is still one of the owners, but no one else received any correspondence about this happening. And there's an old adage that my father liked to say, you measure twice and cut once. But this feels very rushed to me, and my understanding is it's being led by a city council member who is retiring in the next month. And unfortunately, if we rush through this project, if we rush through these decisions without giving us our due process right, the members of the council that have to deal with the repercussions are the ones that are remaining after the city council member retires. So I urge the remaining city council members to take a step back, let the attorneys delve into the issues. We've had the attorneys that as they mentioned, they've had 48 hours, 24 hours to assess our claims, our documents, so that I am really puzzled as to why the city is trying to, for lack of a better word, railroad us without giving us the proper due process. As I mentioned, I take responsibility for the fact that this project has been delayed. I take responsibility for the fact that there has not been the best communication. But out of the blue, once we're ready to start construction, let us know on a technicality, which is incorrect, that the city is going to revoke our license. Just does not seem right. Again, I'm committed to open by September 2025 if the city will still allow us. Thank you.
Mayor, can I respond to that?
Yes.
First of all, I wasn't going to make it personal, but you just made it personal. All right, so you can step away.
Okay. The attorney, Nicole Phillips, would like to speak too. Should I have the other 2 speakers speak before? She's online.
Oh, she's online. Yeah, why don't you have the other speakers go, and then she can go to her.
And then Nicole at the end?
Yes,
okay.
thank you.
Glenn Lovell. And to be followed by Cyrus.
Good evening, council members. Glenn Lovell, Executive Director for the Napa Solano Central Labor Council, representing about 45 local unions across Solano and Napa counties. But most significantly, I've been requested by one of our union affiliates, UFCW Local 5, whose members would be represented in this project, to speak on this item. First, I want to extend gratitude to all council members who have corresponded on this issue and are obviously, factoring in all important measures here. I would say that, not to get into an exceedingly historical view on this, but looking at newer or emergent industries, it is refreshing to see a lot of the labor and community standards being embraced here, including these written arguments. What I would like to emphasize really on behalf of our union affiliate at UFCW 5 is to provide some time in order to allow the company, as described, to provide the information to reconcile these records, because of course this can only proceed if it's in full compliance with the law and your codes. What the union and what we by extension ask, of course, is that we're seeing about 30 union jobs that would be created by this facility, And of course, we do encourage the council to take all appropriate and possible measures to ensure its creation in that timeline. Because same as the city in the labor movement, we do believe that when a policy is created and a permit is issued, it should be executed properly and in a timely manner. But that is just our ask for today, is to provide a window to allow the reconciliation of those records and not to go for immediate revocation, but to see if this can be found in compliance, of course, with law and code, and moving forward for the prospects of those union jobs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Cyrus, and then to be followed by Ron Turner.
Good evening, Mayor Moy, council members. My name is Cyrus Pai. I'm Director of Development for Authentic Tracy. I just would like to reiterate, we do have a binding lease in place. We do have significant investment that we've done to redevelop the property. And we do feel like this is a significant lack of due process. We've outlined a lot of our legal framework to the city attorney. We still have not heard anything back yet on that. We respectfully would like to at least continue this item so our attorneys can work through the issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Ron Turner.
Hi, Santa.
Hello, good evening, City Council members and Mayor Moy. I really wasn't going to say anything, but I just couldn't sit there, and that's part of my problem about sitting in a room and keeping my mouth shut. But myself and, I won't speak for Jim Ingebrigt, but we've been here. We get involved with the community. We play by the rules. As you heard Carrie mention, that we both have been very active with CAN-B and other organizations, trying to really address the benefits that we believe that our citizens should receive are unhoused, those that have mental health issues, those that have drug abuse issues. And I think Jim and I, and Jim can speak for himself, we've did a good job, and we're going to continue to do a good job in representing our business, my business being Embark, but also trying to improve the health of everyone that lives here in the city of Fairfield. And so with that, I'll just close and say thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, did anyone else wish to speak? Okay, Valeria, can you bring Nicole Phillips on, please? Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you for the opportunity to speak with you here tonight. I'm sorry that I couldn't be here in person. And I assure you, if I have the opportunity to do so in the future, I will be here. I want to speak briefly about Authentic Fairfield's history with the city, the work that we have done together in defending the commercial cannabis retail permit process, and then briefly address my concerns about the merits of staff's analysis, which I very much, appreciate the thoroughness. So to start, Authentic Fairfield has been a friend to the city of Fairfield for a long time. I first began working with the city attorney for the city of Fairfield approximately 2 years ago when we handled mandamus litigation challenging the city's process. So I've worked alongside the city in defending your mandamus process, or in defending your commercial cannabis process, in defending the manner in which these licenses were issued. And that process was thorough and very careful, and I know it quite well, and we were successful in doing so, which is why I think this particular turn is much more challenging. In those two matters where I was counsel of record for Authentic, we worked with the city to successfully beat back two specific challenges to your commercial cannabis process. But the challenge I think we would raise if rescission is issued this evening, I think is very concerning for the city and should concern the council members who, particularly council members, who will be thinking about this issue, moving forward. I do think there's a real risk of litigation, particularly mandamus litigation, and around both whether there is authority to rescind a license under these circumstances, particularly given that the DCC's website says that it is not determinative of who the actual owners are. So the notion that there has been a discrepancy or any sort of violation, I think, is based on shaky evidence that likely will not stand up in a court of law. But more importantly, I think this is a process that could be worked through in a collaborative way that I've always, seen the city engage in, where, this issue was brought to Authentic's attention. Authentic has a very cogent and strong explanation for its ownership structure. There are no new owners. It is not as if a new owner was substituted in, or a new owner did not, for example, go through the required background checks or screening procedures that are contemplated under the city code and that are really the reason why these ownership requirements and disclosures exist in the first place. There was an owner who died, and then there was an owner who left the company, and their ownership interests were simply redistributed. So I think I think that there should be a bit more attention given to whether there are even violations of 10E14 and 10E15 based on a screenshot of the DCC website. And I think that we should be given an opportunity to really work through those issues, and to the extent that the city believes it is entitled to additional notice about the allocation of percentages of ownership among the same individuals who were previously approved as owners, we are obviously happy to provide that notice. But to rescind a license on 17 days notice, including over the Thanksgiving holiday, when council has repeatedly asked for an opportunity to participate in this process, has been an excellent partner to the city in defending this process, I think is really concerning. So, I understand that the city wants to take action here. I'm a former elected official myself. I have great admiration for the work that you do here on city council. I know it's hard. I know that there are a lot of different interests that you have to balance. And so I would like to propose perhaps a middle road. I understand that there is a justification for opening this hearing tonight. I understand that the council voted to do so. And I don't even, I appreciate that that's the council's position. I wish I could be here in person. But you don't have to necessarily vote to ratify the resolution tonight, right? I think perhaps a better middle ground would be continue to have dialogue on whether, there is in fact an ownership violation with Authentic, with me. I am committed to being on the phone with your city attorney or any other council as needed to work this through. And then if there is a subsequent council hearing in January or later, and I know that I had proposed some dates because I have travel commitments, but if there is an opportunity to continue this hearing into the new year so that we can fully flesh out and explain why a screenshot from the DCC website is not substantial evidence required to justify rescission or revocation of a vested property right, and in fact, we have also additional concerns about due process, I think that would, strike an appropriate balance between acting with urgency to, protect the integrity of the city's commercial cannabis program, while also, really giving us a fair shot at explaining why the concerns are fair, but the result is not the result that is proposed by Mr. Zellers. I certainly welcome any questions from City Council, but I would hope and propose that we would like an opportunity to really respond to this type of challenge. And I think the best way to go about doing that is to give us that opportunity to present that evidence to council, to understand also, staff's concerns about, any perceived violations, and to try to work them through as partners, which I think is how Authentic has always operated in this space. It's difficult to see your faces because I actually only can see my face. But if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to address them. And I very much hope that I have the opportunity in the future to perhaps speak with you about this issue in person.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. I can tell you all of our faces we're tired. I'm
sorry.
No, that's okay. This is our job. So thank you. And Mr. City Attorney has something he wants to say to us.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to state that, Ms. Phillips is an excellent attorney. She did represent Authentic working with the city earlier in the application process. She is known to the city and to me professionally. I feel it my duty to inform the council as your attorney. She made and I use the word threat of litigation because that's how the government code describes it. I'm not trying to infer that Ms. Phillips is being mean or malicious, but the term is actually threat of litigation. So I want to make that clear. She did say very clearly in there that if this council were to take certain action, they can almost guarantee that there will be a mandamus action, which is a writ of mandamus, to try to overturn this council's decision. So I do want to remind the council that you have a right to seek legal counsel in closed session so that any litigation strategy or analysis of that threat, again, using the legal term, not saying that Ms. Phillips was mean, can be assessed in private by this council to help you reach your decision. Anticipating your next question, I would not be ready to give you an analysis tonight based on the information provided by the applicant, by Authentic tonight. I would want to talk to some of my litigation colleagues, but I do feel it proper to let you know that you have that right, that if you have questions about the ramifications of your decision, it's been made very clear from the attorney for Authentic that if certain decisions are made, they will pursue litigation, and you have a right to seek counsel in an attorney-client privilege setting with your city attorney and your team to assess those risks. So I just want to put that out there. If you do it, again, I would not be prepared to give you that analysis tonight, so I would recommend if you decide you want to do that, a motion to continue this to whatever date you want to continue to, or even to a special meeting for a closed session, and then return on this item, again, totally your call.
Okay. Do we have any other public speakers?
No. Did anyone else wish to speak? Okay.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. And I am going to say that I think we should go into closed session. I think that we need to be very careful here, and because there are questions. And my concern is now and has been about their due process. This seems rushed to me as well. And so I'd like to know what our city attorney would say to us in closed session. And I think that's something that we should consider. Yeah.
Noted.
Excuse me?
Noted.
Oh, thank you. I'll make a motion that we go into closed session.
Can I say something?
Of course.
Okay. Back in when we voted for the licenses, I voted for Authentic. So for the president of Authentic, what was your name, sir? Yeah. As far as me leading something, that wasn't the case, okay? Just because I made a motion, that doesn't mean anything. And, I'm very open-minded, but I don't understand why when you say those kind of things, do you think that's going to help your case? Because really you did, that doesn't help your case at all, at least not with me. Because, I've always been very respectful of people that come up, and for you to be disrespectful, how could that help? Correct? Okay. No.
No. So I have a motion, if anybody wants to second that, to get advice from our lawyer.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
If we go to closed session, we would just learn more about the whole subject and then come back to council, am I correct?
That's correct, and we'd find out what are facts and what aren't, like who are the owners. We would know those things, because right now, as they said, and I haven't looked at the site, but that is not necessarily accurate information. We need to know what the truth is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And, well, you've got a motion, but I would rather talk this out, but you've made your motion, so.
Well, I don't have a second, so it's died. So you don't want to talk to a lawyer, that's okay.
You don't think they've already studied this and they've already done work on it?
I already know what they've done. I've spoken a lot to
So
them.
are we discussing it now, or?
We are.
So it's been June of 2021. There's been little, if any, communication that I see. The other shops are all open. The communication, it's not something where a cannabis company is going to call one of us and say, hey, what's the status of our application? What's the status of, the building? There's a multitude of things that could have taken place. And when you say, it's your fault, you didn't do this sooner, that's more solidifies to me that you're in violation of what our people represent as the code, that this is not out of the blue. You guys have you have a license with us, or you have an approved license with us. Why aren't you reaching out to us consistently? I can go on, but I'll wait. For Glenn, this is not a union thing whatsoever. This is an obligation that Stizzy, Authentic, Shrine, whichever one it is, made to us and didn't follow through. That's all I have right now.
Councilwoman Williams, did you have something?
I do. I would agree with you, Glenn. Yes, I want 30 union jobs, but I've got concerns. This was approved in September 2020. Not approved. That's where the application signature date. I wasn't on the dais there, but 2 years later, what is happening is almost like the application was signed and then we're sitting on it. And I don't understand why. I do want to know the answer. Okay. I would like to know the answer to that. Why is this being sitting on for years? It's more than 1 year, so it's years at this point.
Could you come up and answer her question, please?
So just, I do, once again, we do apologize for some of the delays here. We initially we had an architect engaged, and a lot of times during our permitting and entitlement process, especially how the city's entitlement process worked in Fairfield was, we kind of went straight to like site development review and plan check. So that's when, at that standpoint, our architect and contractor kind of takes lead there. So, and that's kind of like standard for all the stores that we develop and own and manage. So, so even though, per the dialogue, there wasn't as much direct communication between Authentic and the city, our architect and our contractors were working with the building department, and through the site development review process. Additionally, one of the delays was we had some structural issues initially with the building and how the building was designed. We were working through that with the property owner. That's why, and at some point we were like, as staff said, we were talking about potentially moving locations just based on feasibility. And at that time too, we reviewed the conditions and the resolution with staff, And there wasn't, there wasn't we understood that there was a time sensitivity to open just based on, we were lucky enough to be awarded the license. But there wasn't like a closed hard date to open, and we were working through that. And so we were trying to move the location, but we did come to an agreement with the property owner on how to resolve some of the structural and accessibility issues. So that there was some delay there, and that kind of, that did cause it. Did that answer your question?
Yes, so in your answer, it's obvious that it sounds like you're experienced. So that brings me on to the next question in the ownership change and not letting us know. So you all know your craft, your business. I still don't understand why it took 2 years without you all knowing. Keep us posted. But why is there all these changes? And this is your business. You know it. Why don't you know to loop back with us?
Yeah. I'm Brian Mitchell, so I'm one of the owners of the business, and I don't think my name is on the state portal. And my dad was also an owner. Unfortunately, he passed away about 6 months after the license was approved, and that's really the only significant change that happened. I'm still a significant owner of the business. Everything is the same other than John Avador was a very small owner. He was let go. My dad passed away.
Sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Brian, is your name on there now?
I haven't checked. It should be.
He's saying that it wasn't.
I mean, I can prove that I'm an owner. I'm an owner of every single
Well, you were the
location that we own.
applicant, so this is what I mean is,
Yeah.
we have no idea who the owners are.
I live here
He
in
was the
Fairfield. I'm an owner.
applicant.
My dad was part of the project. The last time, unfortunately, I was in this building was with my dad when it got approved. I wish I would have come here more often after that. A lot's been going on in life between that and kids, but I'm 100% committed to getting the store open. I grew up off that exit, right off Waterman in Hilborn. So I understand the frustration. We take responsibility for it. I received this notice on November 16th. It was dated November 14th. We had Thanksgiving right then. We started talking about it right away, trying to figure out a plan. We assumed that this would be continued to give us time to show the facts. And we were surprised, we're here today because that's our obligation. But there's been a significant amount of time and money. And you guys all spent a ton of time on this as well, and I appreciate that. I really do. And I appreciate your guys' approval. And this isn't personal. You guys have every right to be mad, and we should have communicated better. We should have come in here and explained it, but I assumed people were doing that. Obviously, they weren't, but you guys have been in the old Hungry Hunter. It's a quirky building, and it's a large project, and we thought it was going to be X amount, and it more than doubled. So we had to work things out with the owner, Paul Blanco, and those things have been worked out. It was a difficult process. We're 100% committed to moving forward and getting that store open this upcoming year.
And as far as the discrepancy in ownership, we were pretty surprised when we found out about it as well on the DCC website. We contacted them immediately and submitted and notified them that it was incorrect. They let us know. We were in talks with their analysis assistant over there, and they let us know that around January that the website will show the proper ownership.
Just to say, you going after any one of my colleagues, not appreciated. It's not helpful.
I apologize. I don't know how the system works, but I thought I saw in a city council meeting that he was the one that called it. So I don't know exactly how it works, but I do apologize. I didn't know that. I thought that was how it worked. That the city council member
not a good approach to attack one of our colleagues, ever.
And I apologize for that as well. I mean, nothing is personal. I think you guys have done a great job with the city. We just want to be a good partner if given the opportunity to move forward with what we've committed to doing. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Doris.
Gentlemen, I just had a question real quick for you. So, Brian, I know you mentioned that we sat through hours. You were there. We all sat, well, some of us up here sat through hours of applications, interviews, past midnight, right? There was other people, other shops that wanted these permits. And like Rick said, some of us up here voted for you. And we had hopes that all 4 shops would open on time and would be committed to what they said. And the 3 shops that are open, they're open. They've been at community events. They sponsored events. They've invested in this community already the last 2-3 years. Not having a building, would that hold you back, or where have you been? Like, I guess I'm asking if, because you didn't have a shop open, would that have stopped you from being a part of the community?
Personally?
Well, just
I think I am a part of the community.
What I'm saying is like the shop in general. So to have Authenticate or whatever the name, forget the name was going to be, like at the Tomato Festival or Stizzy.
So 100%. I mean, I'm a part of the community. My kids go to school here. They all play and serve soccer. We know a lot of the same people. I went on a camping trip with your daughter. Like, it's a small world. It's unfortunate that this process has taken so long. We take full responsibility for that. But I'm telling you that we already started work in the building. Like, it's not like we didn't do anything. You start pulling out the layers, and then we realize this is a massive issue here, a lot of work. And so that's why it was delayed. That's why they tried to look at potentially other locations, which honestly I didn't want, because there's sentimental value to that location for me personally. So I pushed to try to make it, work it out. The cost is double. It is what it is. We move on if we can and get it open. But to more directly answer your question, the company has been very integral in every community that they operate. I mean, you can look up in Pomona how involved they've been there, but every single community. This was very personal for me, and I was very hands-on with the process to get the approval. And I can guarantee you that if, once we're open, like, I'll continue to be involved in the community in a bigger way, helping out, as we committed in our application. So, thank you.
Mayor, can I ask Brian a question?
Yes, absolutely.
So, honestly, Brian, if we had heard from you over the last 2 or 3 years, the reason why this was called up, because we hadn't heard anything. So really, basically, that's what it comes down to. We didn't hear anything.
You don't want to talk
like
to him?
Councilwoman Pandoro said, the other 2, now 3, had opened up, and 2 of them had done, community service, giving back to the community. I understand you live here, I get that, but they really have. Besides joining the chamber, doing other things, and we heard nothing from you guys, and that's really the reason why this was called up. So, I got to be very honest with you. That's, like I said, some of us voted for you, and then 3 years kind of ghosted. Like, where are you? So,
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I 100% get it. We just wanted the opportunity to explain our side of it, full responsibility for the delays, and I want to be open too. I mean, 100%. So I'm not happy about it at all. I'm not happy that we're here today even having this discussion. I wish the store was open a year ago. So I hope we can have the opportunity to open and, show that we can execute and be a good member of the community. So thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Anybody else have questions of any of those folks?
Madam Mayor, I should note, Ms. Phillips, the attorney, has texted me saying that she's raised her hand on Zoom. Obviously, it's your discretion if you want to recognize her, but I just wanted to pass that on.
Okay, it doesn't show that there's a hand raised, but do you want me to bring her back on?
It's the mayor's discretion.
Does anybody have questions of her? I'll allow her.
Okay. Valeria, can you
Minutes.
bring Nicole Phillips back online? Thank you.
Hi, good evening, council members. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'll be very, very brief
Thank you.
in my remarks. I will say that, we Authentic litigated side by side with the city in 2022 and in 2023. And so I just want to kind of just flag that, I don't necessarily think that it's entirely accurate that Authentic has been not in touch with the city. But more importantly, I think, and I just want to make this objection in the record, the matter before us tonight is not whether Authentic opened within the time frame desired by the city. That has not been put on the agenda, nor is that compliant with the Brown Act for the city to make any sort of rescission or revocation based on a perceived delay in opening. The question is whether there is substantial evidence to support a finding that there is some sort of lack of compliance with 10E15 and 10E14 before the council tonight. And so, I'm slightly troubled by the conversation about the delay because I very much appreciate it. And I think as stakeholders, we welcome those conversations, but I think they're separate from this issue of, is there a basis to rescind the license for perceived lack of compliance with the code? And so as you're deliberating tonight, I would just ask if we could perhaps separate those issues, because we certainly, I think, as you've heard tonight, intend to open as soon as possible. And we hear the urgency from the city, but what I think is before you is slightly different. And that's where I think the city, I'm concerned about the lack of evidence before the city. And I think it would be helpful for us to have continued conversations between myself as Authentic's counsel and the city and the city's council to see if we can iron out this perception that there is some sort of violation of a code, which based on the staff report, I don't think the evidence is there based on a screenshot of the DCC website. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else want to speak?
I would feel comfortable continuing and going into closed session.
You would?
I would.
Anybody else feel comfortable with that?
I would have to, may I?
Oh, yeah, please.
Just last week, we had code violations that I stood strongly for.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody was here, but yeah. And I do put a lot of emphasis on our staff and what they do. But I have to be honest, I'm not clear on some of the direction, and I didn't pay close attention to last time, and I wasn't here when this was originally voted in. I wasn't on the dais yet. So I am okay with seconding Kay Patrice's motion.
To go into closed session, get the information, have staff look at, give us accurate information, like 100%.
And Doug, that's the same motion you made earlier, right?
Yeah, but it died, but, so now it's Kay Patrice's in a second. And I'm going to support it because I think that based on some of the information that I heard tonight and also information that I got separately talking to the city attorney, I have real questions whether there have been, if there was a violation, because we don't know. We just have a screenshot of what that says. And I guess they're saying we won't know till January. That's not good enough. They need to have somebody ask them up there, what's going on. I'm disappointed in Authentic not getting it done in the timeline that they told all of us when we were sitting there. But that was also the same thing, and we gave some elbow room to Showcase. They just opened it up recently, and we didn't take theirs or move on theirs. I think that due process is important, and that's what I'm standing on. As of right now, if they had due process, I would probably vote to take it away also. But there hasn't been due process, and I'm worried about it.
So there's a motion and a second?
There's a motion and a second. Yeah, and I'm speaking to the motion in the second. So, and anybody can. So do you have something you wanted to say? Yeah, we have a motion and a second.
And Madam Mayor, sorry.
First off, closed session is not agendized.
We're not going into closed session tonight.
Okay, because I've not heard you say you're going to postpone this, so that's my.
That's part of what we have to do.
Okay, I did not hear that. I just heard you
Right.
wanted to move into closed session. That's telling me that's what you're going to move into.
Oh, okay, Supervisor, no, we're not going into closed session tonight. We would give staff time to actually give us some facts and let the lawyers do what they do.
So the motion would be then to postpone this. to
What's
the
that?
next scheduled agenda that you was, or meeting or the one in January.
Thank you, Supervisor, I got it. Thank you, big sis. Anyway, all right, so if nobody else wants to speak to that, I just wanted to make it clear why I want this to go and to give due process. It's a constitutional issue anyway, and now we have had the threat of litigation, and I'm concerned this will go upside down and cost our taxpayers a lot of money. So if we do it the right way, that won't happen. So we have,
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. The supervisor actually anticipated the question I was going to ask you. So I think what I heard the motion was a motion to go into closed session, but is it a motion to continue this matter to allow us to go into closed session? Yes. And if it is, and that second, is there a date that you all want, that you want to move for now? Or, I mean, we don't need to be so formal that it happens, but I just thought we can pick the date after the motion, assuming the motion passes, or if it doesn't pass, then we don't need to worry about it.
Right.
You could do it either way.
we'll go with what she has, and then if it passes, then we'll do that, okay? All right, so we have a motion and a second. So I'm going to call it a roll call, call it out.
Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Carr?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro? Yes. Councilmember Tonneson?
No.
Councilmember Vaccaro? No. Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
And Mayor Moy?
Yes.
So it's
So
four
we
four
will-
to two.
4-2, and we will go into closed session, and we want this to happen as quickly as we can, but we got to make sure that staff can get the information that we need. For instance, who are the owners? We got to be able to prove that that's part of the due process. We need to know real facts and not just, oh, we looked it up on the website. Okay, that's good. Does anybody need to use the restroom before we go to the next? Did I close that?
Mayor, may I, one more thing? I don't think we've set a date for the closed session. We could do that later, but my recommendation at this point, since Authentic has raised procedural due process concerns, my recommendation would be at this point to set a closed session date and then also set a date to return to continue this public hearing. That then gives Authentic notice as of today and forestalls any future procedural due process claims.
Okay.
Because they'll be on notice, and I'm going to assume it's going to probably be more than 15 business days out. Maybe not, but.
Well, we're not going to do it on our last meeting, because we're not going to do that. And so it's going to be in January. What do we got in closed session on January?
I don't think we have anything for closed session on January.
Yeah, for January, as of right now, tentatively, you have a special closed session scheduled for January 7th, and then you have a regular meeting scheduled for January 21st.
So does the 21st give staff enough time to do that? Then let's do the closed session for 21st, and then follow up with the meeting where we come back.
On the 21st, or on a date after that?
Yeah, after that closed session, not the same night.
I would note just for the record that the request from Authentic's lawyer was to continue this matter to January 21st, 2025, so that by continuing this matter to closed session on January 21st, 2024, and then continuing this 2025, and then continuing this public hearing to a date past January 21st, 2025, that should satisfy the notice concerns of Authentic. I'm going to ask Ms. Phillips if she's on here. Will you acknowledge that that satisfies the notice requirements for Authentic?
Yes, Mr. Lim, thank you.
Thank you.
That was important, thank you. I don't think I closed the public hearing. I'm going to do that now. That's closed, and I need to use the restroom, so I'm going to take a short break. 10 minutes?
folks joining us tonight. My name is Jessie Hernandez, and I'm very pleased to be here to present the Fairfield Forward 2050 project to you all. This evening, I'll review the purpose of our meeting. I'll provide an overview of the Fairfield Forward 2050 project and the process to date. I'll also provide an overview of the project's components, including the climate action plan, the general plan update, climate action plan, proposed changes to the general plan update, and the final environmental impact report. Finally, I'll present staff's recommendation and next steps. The purpose of tonight's evening is for staff to request the City Council to consider adopting Fairfield Forward 2050. The project consists of a general plan update, climate action plan, and environmental impact report. The general plan update establishes a vision for future growth and development. The climate action plan outlines strategies for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and the environmental impact report assesses the environmental impacts of the project. The general plan Fairfield Forward 2050 kicked off in December 2020. I'd like to emphasize that public outreach and engagement has been ongoing for 4 years. This includes repeatedly coming back to the Planning Commission and City Council to present information and request direction. We began in 2020 by compiling research and engaging the community to establish a community vision. We then evaluated land use scenarios or alternatives to achieve that vision. Once the City Council determined a final land use vision for growth, we began developing draft policies and elements. We published draft documents for public comment and review this summer, then revised those documents to respond to public comment. In November, we held our first public hearing with the Planning Commission. Engagement is critical to developing a community-based vision and shared goals that reflect the community's needs and preferences. We strove to implement meaningful and authentic public engagement and to be responsive to input throughout this process. I'm not going to review every metric here, but I would like to emphasize that we held 20 study sessions, which demonstrates how staff reported back to and requested direction at every decision-making point in this process. In summary, we held over 100 engagement activities, engaged a wide range of stakeholders, and were responsive to Planning Commission and City Council direction, as well as public input. Throughout this process, we implemented best practices for outreach and engagement to make engagement easy and convenient to participate. For example, we offered multiple opportunities at varying times and dates and provided both in-person and digital opportunities. Notably, we responded meaningfully to input on an ongoing basis. This slide summarizes the community's vision and guiding principles established in 2021. The vision sets forth what the community strives for and would like to become. The community envisions becoming a more complete, vibrant city with affordable and walkable neighborhoods that are well integrated with places to meet daily needs. By the phrase complete, we mean that neighborhoods and residents have convenient access to everything they need in their daily lives. This includes essential services like schools and parks, and shopping opportunities like grocery stores. I've presented the policies and contents of these plans to you in detail at different meetings, so I'm going to keep it high level here. However, I'd like to highlight a couple of key strategies and goals in the general plan update. This plan focuses on and encourages infill development or working to improve what we have through new development and redevelopment of existing sites. The plan also aims to advance equity. For example, new policies direct staff to develop criteria to consider and promote equity when making decisions and recommendations to the City Council. Other policies aim to address disparities in health outcomes, such as air quality and access to healthy foods. At build-out, the general plan update will accommodate an additional approximately 13,500 new housing units and 7 million square feet of non-residential uses. This will result in an estimated population of about 151,000 residents by 2050. Notably, policies and physical improvements will not only meet the needs of existing residents, but will also support this population growth. These figures are driven by housing element obligations and a market study and analysis. This map provides an overview of our entire city. Land uses throughout the city will largely remain the same. Areas slated for major transformation or land use changes are identified here on this map as focus areas. I have zoomed in maps if you would like to discuss any focus area later on. One key component that you have already adopted is the housing element, which feeds into the broader general plan update. Under state law, housing elements must be updated every 8 years. Our most recent housing element, or our current housing element, was adopted in 2023. Our housing element plans to meet the housing needs of all residents, including what the state calls special needs populations, including seniors, farm workers and their families, and low-income households. The Climate Action Plan outlines strategies for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. It also aligns with state emissions reduction goals, and it calls for ongoing monitoring and annual reports. We received comment letters between July and September 2024, which were provided in your agenda packet. The comments pointed out typos and requested refined language and new policies. We incorporated policy requests that aligned with City Council direction and declined to incorporate requests that conflicted with City Council direction or that staff determined were unfeasible or inappropriate. Most of the edits made to the public review drafts are minor, but 3 changes are significant. We added policy LU-5.5 to increase the existing agricultural mitigation fee from its original intent to achieve a 1-to-1 agricultural mitigation ratio to its current intent to achieve a 1-to-1.5 agricultural mitigation ratio. We added policy language to policy LU-22.1 to allow up to 450 housing units total at Nelson Hill to be considered, contingent upon adequately addressing a wide range of issues and concerns. I'd like to emphasize that this allows staff and the City Council to consider up to 450 units. It does not approve 450 units. And finally, text and figures were updated to align with a new Travis Air Force Base land use compatibility plan that was made public in August 2024. The final environmental impact report assesses environmental impacts of the project. It was properly noticed, and we did hold the required 45-day review period under the California Environmental Quality Act. Most impacts identified are less than significant. However, the significant and unavoidable impacts include the permanent loss of farmland, loss of a known mineral resource, increased ambient noise at 8 intersections, and increased vehicle miles traveled. The environmental impact report was prepared in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, and the project's economic, social, technological, and environmental benefits outweigh the significant environmental impacts. This is important because under state law, the City Council may adopt projects with significant environmental impacts if the benefits of that project outweighs those significant impacts. Staff recommends that City Council adopts Fairfield 2050 this evening. The resolution before you would certify the final environmental impact report, or in other words, assert that it does everything it's supposed to do under the law. The resolution would also adopt the final environmental impact report findings, statement of overriding considerations, and mitigation monitoring plan. The resolution would repeal certain components and elements of the existing general plan and adopt certain components and elements of the general plan update. In other words, we're repealing certain elements in order to adopt new updated elements. And finally, the resolution would also adopt the climate action plan. A few examples of components that we're keeping include the 6-cycle housing element, the Heart of Fairfield specific plan, and the train station specific plan. If the council chooses to adopt Fairfield Forward 2050, staff will begin developing an implementation plan under your direction. This implementation plan will identify short, medium, and long-term priorities and actions for staff to implement. Examples of short-term priorities could include a general plan cost recovery fee and crafting new zoning designations that align with the new general plan land use designations and rezoning certain areas of the city. This concludes my presentation. Thank you very much, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. I see. I'm going to open up the public hearing.
And I do have 3 speakers. Monica Brown.
Tonight's been fun. Thank you.
You only get 1 minute because you yell in.
Oh, hey. Girlfriend, I know you'll take care of me later.
You know
I know. So my name is Monica Brown, Supervisor representing District 2. The county would like to commend the city on its efforts to update the general plan and appreciates the efforts put toward a comprehensive document. While the county in general supports the city's efforts and looks to be a good partner for the community, the county does take exception to the city's plans for Hale Ranch. We've given you lots of information. In fact, something got emailed today, which is why I'm in front of you guys right now, because no one has time to read an email when it's right before a board meeting. The Suisun Valley Strategic Plan prioritizes agriculture and agritourism, uses that directly benefit the Suisun Valley Ag area. Annexation for industrial or non-ag uses contradicts the plan's vision and undermines its purpose. And I still don't understand why you need part of ag land that's A1. If you want to put in warehouses, why don't you look at the Inland Empire and see what they've done to San Bernardino and Redlands and Riverside, let alone where Sheldon is, because I'm not sure what you guys want with the ag land. The property has Class 1 and Class 2 soils, and it's vital to our regional's ag production. The other concern is that you want to convert 100 acres of high-value ag land, which disrupts the Suisun Valley's ag character and economy. The Hill Ranch property plays an essential role in preserving the region's identity as an ag hub. Measure T was established to protect high-value ag land in unincorporated areas. Annexation directly conflicts with this voter-approved initiative and its intent to limit urban encroachment. More than I can keep going here, so let me go to another one, and that has to do with my favorite hill that likes catching fire in District 2 is Nelson Hill. The county's previous comments, a letter that was dated May 2024, relating to the feasibility for development of this site still applies. Due to soil stability or instability, geotechnic concerns, how you're going to get up and down, and the site suitability for future residential use is questionable. I'm still not sure why you guys want to do that. There's other places. Maybe, do something instead of taking business center and putting in warehouses. Maybe we could have put some homes there. Hale Ranch. The county's comments in the same letter that we gave you in May of 2024. It still applies. The site is located within the county's Suisun Valley Strategic Plan boundary. Both the strategic plan and the current zoning envisions ag and ancillary and more ag. And just FYI for you, that is where Larry's Produce grows on that rented land. Everybody goes to Larry's Produce. I know I was over at the Ag Commissioner talking with some folks there. That land right there he uses so to feed our folks. Thank you guys. Happy all the holidays.
Our next speaker is Bob Karn.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, my name is Bob Karn. I'm a local civil engineer. Been practicing design and processing in this area since 1981. Moved my office to Fairfield in 1995. I encourage you to adopt the Fairfield Forward 2050 plan as written. I think it's a well-written document. There was a lot of time put in. I participated in some of the study sessions. I own property in the heart of Fairfield at each end of West Texas Street and look forward to some of the changes that are proposed. So I appreciate that. In regards to the comments about Hale Ranch, I don't think the general plan calls it out as industrial. I think it calls it out as an ag industrial use to support ag uses in the county. But anyway, it's a well-written plan. Thank you. Please approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for volunteering to help with that.
And our last speaker is Jean McDougald. Is it Jean or Jeanne?
It's Gian.
Jean, I'm sorry. I did see the accent just now.
That's okay. My parents probably didn't add the accent either.
Okay.
But I did.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor and City Council, thank you so much for allowing me to speak this evening. And I want to speak in support of this wonderful, wonderful Fairfield Forward 2025 plan. I really, really appreciate public comments, engagements, and community outreach. I'm a big proponent of having the public 100% immersed. And anyone who says that they didn't get a chance to speak, you know what? They were in Mars, because there were lots of opportunities to be engaged, and I tried to take advantage of all of them. And also, as a psychotherapist, I particularly, and also as a public health specialist, I particularly appreciate the environmental, justice, and public health elements. I thought it was just a lot of thoughtfulness and sensitivity that really went into it, as well as the housing element and the special needs population, because whether I admit it or not, I'm in that one of those categories. It begins with S-E-N, oh well, senior. But thank you all so very much, and I really appreciate this wonderful council, and I love my city of Fairfield. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and since we're giving out accolades, I want to say, I'm digging your outfit, okay? You look good all night. I kept looking at her going, oh, I like that outfit. I like that. But thank you for your comments, too. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for the comments.
Is there anybody else who?
Did anyone else wish to speak on this? No? And there isn't anyone left online. Okay.
All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. And before I take comments from you all, I wanted to say tonight that this is David Feinstein's last full meeting here. And he has been such a big part, as you all know, of planning in our city. And we appreciate you more than words can say, especially it's getting later. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I turn into a pumpkin. So we're going to get out of here. But David, thank you so much, really, for everything. And I see Diane down there too, and thank you too, Diane. I've worked with you more closely more recently, but Thank you both so much. But anyway, back to the team. Yes, Councilman Vaccaro.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. And first of all, Jesse, as always, great report. Every time you come up there and give a report, I just, you impress me more and more. So thank you. I did want to just ask a question on housing element 12. You have people living with disabilities and farm workers. Has there been any vision on that as far as for the farm workers? Because I know we do have a lot of them living in our area, and also their kids go to school, and so I don't know if that's been not studied or whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to call up my consultant for some more details. But the state does require us to plan for special needs groups, including farm workers. So this is Allison Moore, one of our wonderful consultants, and I'll let her answer the question.
Good evening, council members. Nice to see you. So in the housing element that was adopted in 2023, changes to the Fairfield's municipal code were made to align with requirements for farm worker housing in compliance with the state law. Yeah. And there are other programs in there as well that relate to coordinating with organizations that work with farm workers. So really the two parts, working with organizations and then making sure that Fairfield's code complies with requirements under the law.
So it's in the process, basically.
Yeah, that's right.
As I recall, Councilman, there was actually, we set aside an area, from what I remember. I know, I'm pretty sure that's true. Anyway, yeah, so they're in the midst of looking at it. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else have a comment? Yes, Councilman Thompson.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. I feel like since I came on to council, this is right when this general plan started. The 2-year general plan started 4 years ago. And it has been a great learning process, and just watching everybody go through the motions and the ups and the downs. And I just want to, commend the staff and the Dave, certainly I want to throw a shout out to you, but Jesse, you guys have done a great job on this, and the consultant, you guys have done fantastic on this. I'm all for it, except for Nelson Hill, but I'll support I'll support the recommendation, but I just want to be on record that I'm not in support of Nelson Hill. Thank you.
You gotcha. Anybody else have any comments? Councilwoman Williams.
I didn't want to cut in front of you, Doug.
No, I don't.
Okay. Jesse, I know I've said it over and over and over again, but I come from the world of engagement and outreach, and I was involved before I was on the council, and I was in awe then, not even being on the council, to see how these study sessions, or whatever they were called, out in the field went. I experienced it in person, then later during the pandemic, joined a group that was virtual and was completely amazed. Gian is right. If you haven't heard of this plan, this general plan, you have not been paying attention. So I just want to say thank you for the outreach. Thank you for the work. I don't know how many hours went into this. Thank you for the council that was here before I got here, that waited for Doug and I, particularly for me, because what was waiting was Cordelia Green Valley. So you allowed me to weigh in. The city manager, you put us in a van and brought us all over town. We got to hear Doug's I realized how funny he was. And so I just feel so like part of this process, a part of the history that will impact my kids, my grandkids. And so I just wanted to say thank you.
Councilwoman Panduro? beauty for the beast. Go ahead.
Because I'm getting Doug too. So like Councilmember Tonneson, this plan and cannabis were our baptism by fire, and they obviously both came kind of ahead today. So it's been a big learning experience, because now when we talk to other council colleagues in different cities who are now going to start going through this, it's like they're coming and looking to us to see how we did ours and how we went through ours and the length, which I think is okay. We were able to take our time with it. We were able to include our colleagues that were new, to make sure that we were all moving together on the same page at the same pace. And I appreciated that, because it is a lot. And so again, thank you, Jesse, for all your work, and Dave and the committee and the consultant, and then all the community members who participated, because there was a lot of opportunity. I remember being in front of La Favorita back in 2020, like trying to talk to people and trying to be as inclusive as possible with the information, involving the community. And so now we are here, and it's just exciting, because it's crazy to think that it's 25th day, and I'm like, man, where am I going to be? But this plan will be here, and I'm proud to stand behind it. So thank you.
Councilman Doug.
Yeah, wonderful work. Very nice presentation. And I just want to say real quickly to everybody, growing up here, being here my whole life, watching Fairfield, and to be able to be part of an orderly growth and to see that it's going in the direction it really should, I'm blessed to be able to be part of that. And with the work that you guys have done, it's just amazing to be here and to be part of this. And I'm going to be in favor of all of it. Thank you very much.
I second everything that my colleagues have said, and especially thank you to everybody. And you've always done really good presentations. I do want to say for the county and for my big sister back there, that the land out there, we're not going to build warehouses. We specifically have in there that we're going to do something that complements Susan Valley. So in other words, crushing grapes, something like that, and we'll be working with the county to do that. So it won't be paved over.
Just as long as everybody understands that it's still county land.
It is.
Okay, just letting everybody know.
Actually, we're thinking of taking the county over. You can go back and tell them that. That's next. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and a motion and a second then. Motion from Councilman Vaccaro. And a second from Councilman Doug. All in favor? Aye. That was unanimous. And so our next meeting will be, I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, we're going to get a new councilman. You know him? Manvier? Yep, he was the president there for a while. Thank you all, and thank you to citizens. I'm losing my voice just in time. Be blessed.